your gear made can be an absolute headache. But let's see if we can't lessen that stress. Today, I've got 8 things your gear maker wish that you knew. It's next on Till We Make It. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Throughout my career, I have been very fortunate because I've worked in front of the cameras as a pro wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and commentator too. And I've also worked behind the scenes in wrestling as a promoter, booker, agent, coach, and consultant. And I call upon the sum total of all of these experiences that I've had, and I serve it up right here to you each and every week on Till We Make It. And in today's video, I'm even going to call on the experience of some others that I reached out to, gear makers working in the industry today, to compose this list of 8 things your gear maker wish that you knew. And I'm doing this to smooth out a very common pain point many working pros experience going through the process of getting new gear made. Before I dive in, I need your help. My goal this year is to reach 100 patrons over on Patreon. And if keeping Till We Make It a weekly channel is important to you, if you value the type of information I share here each and every week, consider joining our community by following the link that's down below in the descriptus. There's over 130 Patreon exclusive videos waiting for you to unlock over there, starting for as little as just $5 a month. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because there's well over 600 exclusive posts loaded with information you'll never find here on the channel, just waiting to be discovered. Come check it out. We could really use your support. And thanks. All right, ready to dive in? Up first, the number one thing every single gear maker that I spoke to out there said was this: your first set of new gear from any gear maker is unlikely to fit perfectly. But with a few tweaks, with a few adjustments or modifications, it can be a perfect fit. You just need to build in enough time so that the gear can be sent back and forth, or you can pay a visit to them in person to have these slight alterations or modifications completed before you want to debut the new gear. So pad out your personal timeline a bit to allow for this process to take place. That way you're ensured this brand new gear that you've invested in is a perfect fit by the time you're walking to the ring. Second, you have to know exactly what you want before you can get a firm price quoted. This is why it's advantageous to have a design done in advance so that exact materials can be priced and then a real quote can be given to you. Without a fixed design, giving a customer a firm quote isn't realistic. A sidebar: if you expect the gear maker to also design your gear for you, expect to pay an additional fee for that. Rarely, if ever, is design work included free with the fabrication of your new gear. Up third, and I heard this one a lot: choose a gear maker that makes gear that looks like the kind of gear you'd want to be wearing. And by that, I mean, think about the overall sensibilities and style of the gear you see presented on their Instagram, on their webpage. If you're hoping to have a look that's influenced by anime, well then, maybe choosing someone who's been making lucha masks since the 1970s is not the perfect match for you if the end result you're hoping for feels a little bit more like Dr. Stone New World. Before we dive into the rest of my list, would you take just one moment now and one click of your finger and leave a like-a-palooza down below? It helps the channel to continue to grow. Feed that engagement signal to YouTube for me. Thanks for doing that. Okay, up next on my list, you have to expect to pay a deposit up front so that the gear maker can go and buy all of the fabric, all of the materials that they need to create your new look. And on average right now, you can expect to pay a deposit between 20 and 50%. And in the case of the most in-demand gear makers working in wrestling today, you may be expected to pay the entire amount up front just for them to make room in their busy schedule to add you on as a client. Number 5 on my list is one I can certainly get behind. It's this: whenever possible, go local. Choose a gear maker near enough that you could visit them to have exact measurements taken by them. They're the professional in this equation, and the reality is, taking accurate measurements of your own upper body without assistance, it's impossible. The buildup of sweat, dirt, oil, makeup, tanner will destroy your new gear so much faster than any amount of overwashing it possibly could. But it's important to take good care of your gear and wash it by hand, never in a machine. This will extend its life exponentially. And if you don't know how to do that, at the end of today's video, I'm going to link you to a video I made all about how to clean your gear. I am pretty sure it's actually the very first Till We Make It video I ever made, and it's going to be a little rough around the edges, but the information still stands. Get ready for that. Shipping is more expensive and less reliable than ever before, and this is something I have a real appreciation for. I was once on tour halfway across the United States, and I realized I forgot my kick pads. The cost of having FedEx overnight a brand new pair of kick pads to the arena for me the very next day was more than the cost of the kick pads themselves. The shipping was more than the gear. You have to budget for shipping. And if your gear is coming in from another country, pad out your personal timeline 3 weeks to allow for that slow transfer and import of the goods into your country before the final delivery is made to you. This last one might actually be the most important of them all. You need to understand and respect the hierarchy. And here's exactly what I mean by that. Someone who's about to appear on WrestleMania is going to take precedence over someone who is just about to make their television debut. And someone who is just about to appear on television for the very first time is going to take precedence over whoever is the indie wrestling flavor of the month. And whoever that indie wrestling flavor of the month might be, they're going to take precedence over someone who doesn't even have a confirmed debut date set. This is how gear makers work. They have to prioritize things, and there's a hierarchy to that prioritization. So you've got to understand that, and you've got to respect that. And it might mean, especially in the case of an in-demand gear maker or someone with a lot of high-profile clients, that you could be putting down a deposit on gear that you won't actually receive for months. I'm curious to know, were any of these new to you? Did you find any of them to be shocking? Tell me below down in the comments. And if you have any ideas, any requests for future Till We Make It, you can drop that down in the comments below as well. I would love to hear from you. Appearing on screen right now is a roll call of all my awesome patrons. These are the people who are keeping this a weekly channel. You can join their ranks by clicking on the Patreon link, and there, of course, is the video I alluded to so that you can keep your gear nice and clean.